hiring more artists than devs right now.
Yep.
Like
Yo,
they're
the art
continuously
in this game
hiring a
is
shit ton of artists,
banging.
but
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what they're riding off of is like the character. Like, I mean, again, like I've had this talk a lot of times. Like, they don't actually give a shit about Omega Strikers. They only give a shit about the characters' IPs. Like, they pretty much said they're gonna try to give this game a chance, but like the entire point of Omega Strikers is just get the characters' IP out
No,
there.
but like it's so easy. It's actually so easy to make the game fun again, in my opinion. But
Like,
yeah, that's
it's
my
like this is like one
perspective.
of the. I think like Omega out of any game has like the best chance of actually succeeding in the field right now because there's not a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And the
It's
games that
probably
are like in the competition, like Omega's been doing the best. Where if they put the time in, like they have a game that legitimately could like succeed.
I
bro.
don't know. I
Let
just think they
me.
threw it
Easy.
all away with fucking draft. That's all. And like the core flip speed. Well, the core flip speed isn't as significant, but like draft for sure. Because
All
like,
I'm gonna say. So I'm sorry. Continue.
no, you can keep going, Starling.
I was gonna just mention real quick. So I'm one of the people that came to the game after the beta, and I'm just observing, right? And I have to say that this game is one of the best when it comes to the spectator experience. Like the fact that I can just pull up with one of my friends and watch a stream and they can know exactly what's happening. That is such a simple concept, right? It's such a good spectator sport. And in that
My
front, they're like ahead of a lot of the competition, in my opinion.
my parents watched me in Pro League and they understood what was happening, which is a big surprise.
Right? It's insane. Like the fact that you don't even have to play the damn game to understand what is happening at a fundamental level, and that's such a
At a
big
fundamental
advantage.
level, yeah, I see to that. I can agree to that, but
It's a game
Yeah.
that's easy to watch, which I do like a lot.
Naturally, there will be some things as a spectator that has never played, things will go over your head, absolutely. But that the whole point that I'm trying to make is that you can enjoy watching the game without having any information of how the game functions, like
I
mechanically.
agree. I agree to that. But like, if you saw beta and people
Bro, this dude needs
forcing
to get off
core
my
control
net.
comps, that shit was so fun.
Yo, I was talking with
It
one of my
was,
friends about
but
like so let me talk to KFC real quick. So this is the biggest
Yes.
thing that's been like killing me. It's like, bro, I want to play the game and I want to be able to play like more than just a kill comp. It's like it when I look at comps in this game, it's either like a kill comp and then not a kill comp, and then everything else is just not real. Like where's like core control
Uh,
comps, you know?
There's a lot of
there are
that
no
is
core
that
control
is
comp.
kind of the thing.
Do they
No,
exist?
Right now,
It's like
it's not actually
Rasmus.
kill comp. It's a standard midfielder or goalie midfielder hard forward or stuffer, as some people will say.
I see. Okay.
And like there's no variance because of draft, in my opinion.
Draft.
Forcing
So
forcing a goalie midfielder hard forward comp spreads out your awakening pool like so well that like if you're not going that, you're actually just throwing. Like it's
see.
not worth going anything else.
Mm,
With the
that's
exception of
interesting.
Demon Days, because you're fucking dead off cooldown, and that map is a joke
Yeah,
regardless.
I mean, there's some maps where it's like that's the thing.
double
Like,
core
there's some
control.
comps that you load into in some maps where it's like, bro, the only thing that they need to do is land their abilities on you and kill you, and then they
And I
win.
guess Oni Village for double core control, but even then, like Estelle is basically a stuffer.
Yeah.
Estelle is more of a specialist now, I would say. I think
Yeah.
someone told me that.
bro, core flip. This dude.
Someone told me that.
I have an Atlas forward on pummelers. Like
It doesn't matter. This dude's playing perma second goalie and can't even do it halfway decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ouch. Ow.
Somebody wants to. So it's like you mentioned earlier that one of the problems you have with the game is the draft system. Why is that?
Why is that? It's because you
Yeah.
just want players to be play how they want, and like. Okay, it's
So-
just something. It's something more fundamental to game design.
I see.
You let your players play the game. Don't make your players play in a specific way.
What?
Let them tailor the
You
game
will
to
hit
them.
it directly into me, and you will like it.
So one of the arguments that I heard against that in particular was that if the game is you have set abilities that you can choose before the game even begins, then the repetition of the game can get a little bit like, there's no
Okay,
like
there's-
gamba.
There's
know?
two things. There's two things with that.
What's up?
One, cork or kill comps were broken in beta. Everyone had shell shock from that. I had shell shock from that. I'll admit it. That shit was fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
There's no evade. It's like, look, I watched a lot of beta back, and I'm like, I think if everyone was at the skill they are now in beta, the game would not have lived at all. Because like, people would be permadead.
Yeah,
Like-
they'd be unplayable.
The amount of abilities people missed in beta is crazy.
The thing is that people were faster. So like
That's
it was
true.
easier to dodge abilities fundamentally.
I get that.
But yeah, that's one. And the game getting stale, the thing is that you have balance changes for that. If there's an overtuned training or overtuned character, nerf that shit. It's that simple.
Okay, so if what I'm understanding is that your solution to like repetition is like just have frequent patches, but don't have a
Yeah,
draft
and
system.
that's what they've been doing. That's why draft has low key been working, because if it kept it the same way,
Yeah.
it would be doomed. The thing is, we didn't get patches every like month, or even micro patches every other week. We got updates like every 2 months. So
In
like,
beta.
yeah, in beta, we got nothing.
Okay.
We were shafted.
Sure.
And
Makes you
And
feel
what-
better for missing that if you put it right. Like I had the save on it with strike shot. Dude, this guy is horrible.
Oh
I was gonna
Please
dash
get out
and
of
then
my
hit it
game.
up like up behind you, but I missed the dash.
I would rather have your Atlas forward on my team right now. I'm gonna be real.
That's
I
so
don't get how
true.
he's like not doing anything, but he's not griefing.
He's
No,
so he's
but,
like
you'd
actually
you'd
getting
ra-
it to your
if you-
Juliet.
If you position well, you can be a strike bot and like be a good player.
Exactly.
Yep. Whoa.
Yeah, dude, it doesn't
How can
matter.
play?
They're
How can
just
play?
both sitting on the opposite side of field waiting for me to 2v1. But
Your
then this
room
dude,
will
I'll be in a
not help
1v1 and fucking sit on top of me, striking it into you. I don't. It's kind of.
How
I'm
can
only a little
play?
tilted because it's my rank up game.
Not fair.
And another thing is that because of how slow the core goes, it's like there's some positions that are just not savable. How chill is that?
GG.
I'm trolling.
He sat there a little too long, I fear. Holy shit, wait, winnable. What the f-
Oh.
What? Wait, what are you-
Wait, no,
What are you
should've-
hitting?
You should have flipped it there. They were both banished. You could have gotten a goal.
Thank you.
I mean, that works as well.
I was expecting like, okay, any like decent level room goes for kill there. They're both on edge. You
I
use-
was
look at
forced
pillars,
to
you're
try
dead.
to pop bubbles there, and he just didn't do anything.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
I have an illness.
It's like I'm the Giga Blast Gladiator. Okay. Goodbye.
Oh my-
Hi, ma'am. Would you rather take this $5 or double it and give it to the next person?
Take it.
Oh, we guarantee
It's
one
literally
hit.
only $5.
I'll do anything for money.
So chill.
What the flip?
No way.
Hi, ma'am. Would you rather take this $5 or double it and give it to the next person?
Take it.
Also, if there's
only
a
It's
third
literally
thing
only
that you're
$5.
interested
I'll
in
do
for
anything for
variants,
money.
new maps,
what the
barriers,
flip?
and energy.
And characters.
All those three were enough to introduce enough variants from beta. The only reason they decided to put it this way is because they got too many fucking cringers that played League of Legends 24/7. Cause like I keep saying this, but I think this game could have been like the Clash Royale of MOBAs.
yes, that
It had
100%.
Purchases?
It had
I
a
don't
My
get
chance.
it.
Alice is cracked.
This guy, I don't actually know how he's in mid diamond. What?
This Atlas is actually decent.
No, dude, your Atlas is playing great. He's like playing midfield at Atlas and getting it to you. But then my fucking rune is proceeding. Did you see how our Julie like core flipped to him, and this dude hit it back into Comet instead of just hitting top corner for free.
He is
I don't
very
get
bad.
it.
It is very apparent.
I think you take build diff if he doesn't. Oh, he does. It's all good.
I could take replicator and pray that they win this round, and I get like another orb, and somehow we scale.
I mean, the thing is, you're goalie and you get the most redirects since your guy, so you should always be first pick. But yeah, that's the issue with the game, Starling. I mean, this comes from like
This is going to my enemies.
working on projects with like actual human beings that have experience.
Like, look at that!
Oh
Did you
my!
just-
Yeah, he's just not out going for kills.
And then he comes back onto my defense there and almost fucks up my clear that I had a free clear there. I don't.
Yo, KFC, do you feel like you could do something if you were on the Odyssey team for this game?
No,
Damn.
it's not.
How
That's
co-
really it. It's because I'm not. I'm just a fucking intern. I do the grunt work.
Ah, bruh.
I don't
see.
actually have experience like doing
Yeah,
like
but-
the project management because there's a lot more to it than just like existing.
Yeah.
You have to understand the relations between people. You have to actually like understand like the systems that you have to implement. Like if you saw the video that I was showing, like deploying Kubernetes clusters to AWS can be a little ill sometimes, especially when there's
And it
errors
is
going
not
on.
moving. Oh god.
Like there's so many things that need to happen,
This dude needs to get off my fucking dick.
actually. But like these things are just not happening at OD. It's quite unfortunate.
So, are you just gonna try again next game? Alright, is this game
They
just
are going to
doomed?
try again next game. That's the sad part.
Damn.
That's it. They're not gonna
Ugh.
actually try to make a good game because I don't give a fuck on how bad the game is, or like how bad the IP is or
Yeah.
graphics. Just make a good fucking game.
My Atlas is playing incredibly well for an Atlas mid. I'm very impressed.
It's just, I guess, it's just sad to see a good product go to waste. That's it.
Yep.
Everything I've heard is just people just want better
Surely
marketing.
pillar. Surely
I only
pillar.
knew
One
about
better,
the existence.
better
No,
marketing is like, yo,
We did everything. We did everything
Yeah,
in the
like,
book
they're
to market
chilling.
the game. Calm fucking
Yeah.
down.
No,
like, I don't think marketing was
the
like their
beta
issue
marketing was
ever.
great.
Yeah.
No, like release
What?
marketing was insane. Do you know how much money they spent?
All I saw was like music.
They did not just do music. They did like let me pull it up. I have the fucking document.
Oh yeah. The KFC talk. I remember this.
Ouch.
To re-emphasize, it's indicative that core-based mechanics have significant flaws considering the amount of marketing spent on the game.
Your team will
I'm
not help you
so
here.
fucking confused what we're doing right
The
now.
room will not help you.
To quote Lunchboy, we were in Nintendo Direct, did launch announcement / homepage, specifically on Steam. They were on the homepage of Steam. Featuring all platforms, did the big creator events, spent a fair bit on advertising, like they spent money to put their video on YouTube and market
Like, the
to
only
like
thing I saw
gamers.
was the creator events. I didn't see anything else.
I saw that Odie gave me ads. Like I saw ads on YouTube when I was
Yeah.
watching. Did the trailer with Studio Trigger and released that on Nintendo and used it to advertise. And yeah. He says, to be honest, I'm not sure what else we could have done. And that's because the game sucks. In my opinion. At least it's the biggest contributing factor.
I
Realistically,
wonder.
it's never one thing. It's a hodgepodge of things.
So you're telling me if I go to like Odyssey's LinkedIn right now and I look at their page, is there
They'll
no
have
like
10
job
people
openings
on
right
this.
now? Is there no?
No, there are. It's all for like fucking artists and shit.
Yeah, it's just
Oh.
artists because it's fucking
Okay.
ill.
I'm fucking
Like, they-
dead. Okay, hold on.
Oh,
Like
hold on. They need artists though, and I'll tell you why. I have fucking a lot of money I want to put into the game, and there's nothing to buy. It's great,
Okay,
That's
I
true.
see how it is.
dude. If it's fucking free to play game, how do I give you money?
Buy Odie points.
Yeah, but like, there's nothing to buy with it.
Dude, but like, how does he fuck up that dash punch?
don't know.
Just don't strike. It's not hard. Holy shit. But yeah,
What?
the way I would compare it is many games that ended up extremely popular. So for me, Deep Rock Galactic, Halo, and League of Legends grew organically by filling their niche. Like there's like a style of game that hasn't been filled.
Thank you, Comet.
Did they?
throwing my
Now,
out there.
there is very little that I know. when it comes to the MOBA genre. But it was my understanding that when it comes to that niche that League of Legends was in, wasn't Dota their first filling that niche already?
Uh,
Oh, that's not very cool.
like kind of, I guess.
I guess were they just not very good at it? And that's what League of Legends
You blocked
succeeded.
my bottom
No.
clear completely there, by the way.
I have a
The issue with
pretty in-depth.
Dota was that it was paid.
Oh,
I have a pretty
Yeah,
in-depth understanding
yikes.
of how
So,
that
like,
kind of shit
okay.
works. So it was a Warcraft 3 mod. That
And Warcraft,
kinda-
yeah. That got transferred over.
Yeah.
Ooh, I see.
So
And then like they made it free along with like personalization and customization, and that just made it explode for fun.
So one of my buddies is looking at their Indeed page right now. One of the job openings they have, they're looking for senior game UX and UI, senior gameplay animator.
They
Oh
already
my
have
god!
those.
Oh my god!
In my
Yeah.
opinion, they just need people to do the grunt work. They don't need like senior people. They need people that know what the fuck they're doing, and people who can just program. It's not hard. It's not easy, of course.
So basically, what I'm hearing, like, I'm just looking at this. I'm talking to one of my buddies that's in a similar field. He's like, they either don't want to hire people, or people don't want to accept that lower salary because I mean, you're working for a startup. If you're working for Odyssey, they're not like a established company yet. Probably don't have that much capital or whatever.
No, they had
And
a
if they did
bunch.
have it, it
They
went
had a
to
bunch of
advertising.
investment. They just
Oh.
didn't get enough human resources for fun, for no reason.
I see.
I will say also they did a lot of stuff for release, like advertising and money, but the release also did not beat like beta release as far as player
Yep,
base.
it did not beat beta release, and I am
Yeah.
extremely disappointed with
Do
this.
you know, as a new player looking at the Steam charts for this game, do you know how appalled I was? How in beta you guys peaked at 20,000 concurrent players, and that shit was chill as fuck. The game wasn't even complete back then,
Yeah, and it
and
was
now
good.
we have like and it was probably still fine, but like
This
now that
game
we have an
feels
official release,
half-assed right
I see.
now.
It feels half-assed. Why?
Yeah. Like they overtune a bunch of a bunch of trainings and then undertune like so many just for fun.
Oh, so the balancing is what makes it half-assed?
Like the characters are okay. I'm not exactly sure, but it's the trainings and just fundamentally how having a draft like screws over like a lot of comps. I
Yeah.
can't even English.
Could you give an example of like that expresses that idea? So you're saying that there's some awakening drafts that kind of screw over certain characters. Is it just that you're playing a character and then you see the draft and your awakening is not there? Like what's the biggest problem with the system?
I'm very content with that system as someone who plays Mario Kart, and every single time you hit an item box, it's a gamble of what you get. At least that's why there's like a bit of a say of what happens.
I think
The
the
thing
system
is-
with the roulette is
I can think of
fine,
one
and I think it's
example.
healthier than beta, but I think they need to like tune it a bit, especially with like infinite playing
So-
and stuff. Should not have that big of an impact on games.
Here's an example how the current system is like bad for certain characters. I've only had this happen one time, but there was an instance where the opening awakenings was like monumentalist and like cast to last, and it's like if you're playing Juliet or any character that has nothing, like no buffs and like no creations, you're like fucked. And that's a little
No,
bit cringe that
it's
they
not-
allow that to
it's-
happen.
It's not even that. It's that like because like certain characters are just fundamentally strong, specifically Juliet. But
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that you need a starting awakening to even make your game playable, so specifically for Octavia, or like need to roll a decent map, is just quite ridiculous.
I like it because it
Estelle-
forces you to not have
Variety.
It forces us one tricks and more variety.
The thing is like
because if
we,
it, if there was that was like a set awaken every time, it'd be people forcing the same characters really.
we
good,
already
and then-
we already stopped one tricks. We already had bans. It's not that bad.
No, but you can't like you don't know the other team's gonna play until the game actually starts.
Well, yeah. Like in beta, I don't know how to put it. It's like it just wasn't that bad as people think. It's just that the people like top 50 played the same shit over and over again because they pushed the game to its limit. While everyone else that's like, just under, but like 2910 sitters, 2900 sitters in Omega, it was chill. We played everything and we had fun.
Mm, hmm. One thing that I am curious about is how did the beta actually get such a large player base? If they didn't like
Creator events.
publicize
Creator
it?
events.
I see.
Word of
Okay.
mouth primarily.
What a that's I mean that's a
That too as
20,000
well.
is like
We
crazy
had
number for like word of
Vienna.
mouth.
Vienna was like, I think Vienna managed to get a bunch of creators. Correct, Soren, but I can't remember.
Vienna, I mean, yeah, Vienna used to actually be part of the OD team back when it was like really, really new. Like she was supporting it. I don't know financially, but she was a big part of the team. That I mean, then the devs that had a lot of, or at least for beta, they had a lot of connections because of being Riot devs, and at least a lot apparently teams are turning into like, oh, we're Riot dev teams working on this game, but at least I think OD had like more clout than a lot of like the team startups are now. So they were able to get a lot of creators that like usually would charge a shit ton of money for free. Like on
Oh, they
like
got it
release.
for free? No
No,
way.
the beta, as far as I know, beta, they told us they did not spend a single dollar on beta for any of the
Yo,
advertisements.
that's
Oh yeah,
actually
so
so
that was
chill.
a lot of the creators. It is the crazy thing about Omega Strikers in particular compared to any other game in the market right now. We actually have the leverage of having creator backing for like no cost. Like they just fuck with the game that like that. They really
Oh
do.
no,
They
no.
just support the product. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
don't
I mean,
know.
you get free advertisement from like the videos that get made on this game. They don't pay for those. It's like an ad like that would cost you a lot, but they don't have to pay for that.
So I wrote this when like we still had ad rush and other things that made like the awakening pool a little cancer to deal with. But like for Dubu on goalie, like it's actually livable now. You can fly in. There's no more stinger, no more ad rush. You don't get
My
overwhelmed.
my thought
Juno
on
is
the entire
still like
awakening
not
thing.
good.
I think that the fact that they're adding new awakenings and rotating stuff out is healthy for the game if they do it right, because like it allows for a meta change. Where in beta is like they would have to gut something for the meta to completely change, and people hated that. Where they can kind of like get stuff like real stuff like Stinger right now, and it does change the meta a decent amount, like how you have to play a character. Because used to be you would hit an opponent every 3 seconds, and because that's the timer on heal regen. It was 3 seconds, so you would shoot them, the Stinger would do damage. You wait 3 seconds, so you do it again, etc. And like small stuff like that, that at like a top level with the weightings being rotated out is really
Okay,
healthy.
admittedly,
I think, in my opinion.
Asher, Drek, and Rune were extremely busted
When during
in beta.
yeah,
Like
definitely.
in their primes. Like the reason we had those betas is because those characters were broken. If you brought those characters in their original state into release, they would be busted as fuck.
Oh, 100%. Like during the, I mean, it's not like top level, but like during collegiate, our team was like seeded like we're predicted to go like 7th and 8th, and what we did is we had 2 team comps. It was Kai, Asher, Rune, and then if they banned a single one of those characters, we would just go like either Drakar or X with Estelle. Those 2 comps are like broken as fuck during that time
Yep.
because you would play
And
full
then-
you play full kill comp if we went to Estelle with the Drakar X, and then you play core control with Rune and Asher, and it's like borderline impossible to win. Like the fact that we almost took games off of fucking Streak, Elo Heaven, and their third, who was Challenger, is crazy. Just because of like how broken those characters were. And
Yep.
they decided that they would rather have played their more comfort picks than like meta. Like I think beta, at least like looking back on it, like the meta was super cancer. Just like besides like core control at like right at the end, like
It's
was just,
because
like, motivating,
like
it's broken
characters
and
were
stuff.
like busted.
and
They
then we had
released
like
these characters for fun.
everyone forgets the last month where Imi was like required in every game
Ad
because like
rush.
the ad run rush like fucking broken kill you could do every time confirm. You just like dash into glitch pop and it was a free kill no matter what.
Yes,
Yo,
sir.
Like every
I'm
tournament,
curious
like you were
about
getting a lot of
that.
upsets with them because like you'd have these players who were Imi one tricks that were kind of dog shit, and then all of a sudden like there was mean-
Okay, it was Crow that
most of them, not
terrorized
most
everyone.
of them. Most of them. There was a few good IMEs, but like a lot of them were like challenger players, and like all of a
Oh,
sudden like that
challenger
combo came out,
players? Yeah.
and
that-
they're like
yeah.
top 10 in the game all of a sudden because they just played their one trick. There was no banning, So they would play IME and just do their like BS like they would just
Because
oh no there was banning but
target banning
target banning
goalie was
really hard.
was much stronger. Yeah.
But they would just do their fucking kill combo and adrenaline rush, and especially if your other forward got a single like hit on him, all of a sudden you both got adrenaline rush. They're running downfield top speed with abilities up, and they just kind of like roll you. And that was the entire last month of the game. You had people like Treddy and Corleone on teams that were winning like tournaments because of it. If you didn't have an Ivy play on your team, you kind of lost. I think at least they need to fix the Awakening draft. I think the roulette's fine because it adds a little bit of like variety, but I think the fact that some Awakenings are allowed into Infinite is kind of broken. The amount of games I've had like completely like flip on their head because like a good Awakening for one team comes out.
I can love Infinite Fire Up.
That was broken for a while. It's
That
not
was
as good
broken.
anymore, but oh my god, that was crazy.
Hey,
I
Sorensen. Hold on, real quick. So Sorensen, I just want to ask you a quick question based on like what you just said.
Yeah.
So like, do you feel that they should like change that system? Like, how would you improve on that if you had the chance?
I think everyone's been kind of suggesting, even since like prod is like for infinites, like during roulette, it should change to like they should nerf sparks a little bit and make it into the infinite draft, like because what it allows you to do is like by round 3 you're gonna have all 3 of them if like you've got a player that's last pick every time if they're like down 2-0 or at least like 2 maybe 3 and then all of a sudden like they have that
So you're
win
saying have a
comeback
dedicated
mechanic.
infinite?
Yeah, the dedicated
just
infinite I think should be
Sparks.
Spark, and like it's a win, like it's a comeback mechanic. But at the same time, if they do it correctly, it's not broken to the point where it's like you're fucked.
So nerf
allows,
them
like, the
first of
player that's
all,
at
and
the
then make them
Yeah.
infinite as well. Interesting.
Nerf it by like 5-10% maybe, and just make it infinite because like 4 Sparks then, like let's say they're below 2-0 and they win a set, like it's decent to where they're gonna be able to come back. But it's not like broken where like let's say you're like first pick every time, your awakenings are still gonna be stronger than if you got the Sparks.
I don't know. I just think like the fundamental game design philosophy is like extremely incorrect to introduce variety in builds. It is.
I think at a
You
top
should
level it's a
design.
bit cancer, but I think it allows
No,
for like
like
lower level.
and for any game at all, for any game, we
Even
had
for
enough
the casual
variety.
side?
We had enough variety with goal barriers, energy, and the new maps. In fact, in my opinion, if I just had the new maps, that would have been enough.
Yeah, God, I don't know. I think it's healthier than it was during beta still because like beta, like with awakenings, like people took the same stuff every time. Like there's guides for it, and like it kind of got stale after a while. Like taking the same thing every time, it's like, oh my god, this is boring. As
We
hell.
didn't.
Where like
We didn't
even
take
now I can play
the same thing every time.
It's like it was
There
like
were
a
there were
combination
two
of
to
like 2 or 3
three top
builds.
tier. There were 2 or 3 top tier builds for nearly every character, and
Yeah,
that was
and
fine.
you can't tell me that doesn't get boring after a while. Like
Uh,
it doesn't add variety to the game. Where like the roulette thing, it's a different system, but I don't think having like randomized stuff in the game is horrible. They just need to like tune it that way it's not like overbearing.
also
There-
just
I-
get more replayability because if
I
it's like
don't
a
know.
casual who isn't sweating a top build and they're losing a top builds, they will just get mad.
Yeah.
And they have a chance to get a better build in their next game. I think is a really
Yeah.
good like,
So
motivator.
yeah, going off of what Mirror is saying, it's like this game, there's a big difference between Omega Strikers at a casual level and competitive Omega Strikers because as top players, many people here will probably want to just get their best trainings just before the game even begins so you can plan around it. But if you're playing the game casual and you're trying to have fun, coming back every single day, let's say you play this game every day of the week, like if you're just a casual player, are you going to enjoy more having a guaranteed build that you can always rely on, or are you going to enjoy like the thrill of like, oh, I want to build this, I need to like get top on the lobby so I can get this shit.
That
Like there's
too,
a
and I
certain
think
level
it
of
does
there's
work
a
at
thrill that
top
comes with
level
it.
because like
Mhm.
there is variety what you want on top level. Where like let's say you're a Awakening draft and you're playing a kill comp, you have to decide between during that split second is like, do you want to take a Awakening that enables your character, or do you take a defensive training away from the other team that way they're not able to like live kill comps and stuff like that. And it does add more like there's never an Awakening really unless it's like everything is absolute shit and like there's like which is very 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 rare. But like there's always like a few Awakenings in that draft that you could take and are decent for you, and like you have to think about it usually.
So KFC, how do you feel about the this whole system that was
That's
that was
where
introduced?
That's where
Yeah.
I disagree completely. On a casual
see.
level, you could get the fact that core speed was so ridiculous is like it enables specifically for like the random goals, and that's what like you killed for in beta. It was really chill. Because the way you would score is either the
Oh
goalie would make a
no.
mistake, or you would have a perfect sequence. And
I
the
have
thing
on my
is
team.
that what tends to happen is that in casual level, the goalies would make mistakes, and that was like you'd be like, "What an angle!" if they were mispositioned hard, or just like, "Holy crap!" if the core is going fast and it just bounced around the whole map all the way into the other side of the net. It was pretty chill.
Mhm.
You still have
And
that though.
I think core being fast is fundamentally good for the casual player base because like ability strength being increased with strike cooldown being decreased, ironically made strike wars more important in comparison to when I want strike wars to be less important, which is what they said towards the end of beta, and I'm like, dude.
Were you there during a short period where like so they during like the start of prod they had straight cooldown really long? Like it was like to a point where your ability usage was like so much more important than actually like playing for Strike Wars. And I personally like that a lot because like a lot for characters like you could not go for KO. You had to save stuff for just like winning
I
possession.
mean, that's what you also had to do for beta because the core speed was just so ridiculous.
Is anyone watching my game what this dude is doing?
Yeah, I am.
He just like we had a free barrier and he just like TP'd out, fucking it up.
For fun, yeah. I just wholeheartedly disagree with draft even existing. Let your player play the game. Don't let the game get like, don't let the game force the player into doing things. The player will figure it out himself.
Hey KFC, if I wanted to read this doc, would you share this with
I
me?
mean, I already posted it once. I don't really care. It's like I just dropped it to be like, hey, this is what I think. But like, I didn't like, since I don't know anything internally about management, because it's only rumors from my end, I can't really say much about that. But from what I've heard, it's like really bad. So, just really disappointed is my main issue. I'm not sure if you
So
can even confirm this, Mr. Soren,
I can look at it.
or just like management being like a little horrendous for OS.
It's definitely not ever been amazing.
Yeah,
It's like it was better during pre-alpha and beta than I think it is now.
that's what I'm thinking as well.
Like
hmm,
I think a big thing like like most of like the higher level players, at least from like beta and pre-alpha, is the devs used to be like really hands-on with us and they would let us know what's going on. But
I mean,
now it's like they don't give a shit. They don't talk to us anymore.
I just don't think they should have designed the game around high level play, which is kind of what I feel what they did, or at least tried to do.
You definitely gotta mix it up, I think.
No, I just want players to play the game. And then you can worry about everything else.
Give me 1 second, bro. I got something for you guys. Have you guys heard of this
Like-
game? I'm sorry, just real quick. Have you guys heard of this game? It's called Sparkball. Anybody
Yeah,
heard
God.
about it?
I played it a little
So
bit. It's actually pretty fun.
whenever, oh, you actually played it, goddamn. So what I was gonna say is like we can say all we want about Omega Strikers, but like guys, at least we're not Sparkball. We
Yeah,
have
I agree.
there you go.
To sink to the level of Sparkball, you would have like ridiculous levels of degeneracy. So
No, the fucking game. It's okay. Anything except like the actual gameplay is really cancer with that. But the gameplay itself was actually really fun when I played it.
Oh,
The character
so
kits are actually really unique.
Let me just say that the spectator experience was kind of ass. But if you're saying
I
that the
imagine.
gameplay was enjoyable, then like I'll believe you. But like
At least the characters I played were like the kits were like something that I have not seen before.
did you know that Sparkball had a $30,000 tournament streamed on Twitch, and they had like 300 viewers. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think they had
Yeah.
like a ton of like pro teams come in.
Yeah,
I heard about it
they-
after.
Yeah, they had a lot of big names playing in the tournament, but it's like, can any of the big names like promote the tournament? Like, bro.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I guess not. They just wanted to get their bag and get out.
Mhm.
I think another one too is the fact that you can press space and kind of bump.
Developer created esports scenes kill games.
Knock
Just
the ball
saying.
away from time to time.
What do you mean by that?
No, I don't disagree fully, but I think they can
I
definitely
d-
support it because like I'm part of
I
the
don't
Smash
think
scene, and
so.
it's like holy fuck. I wish that Nintendo would actually give a little bit of a shit about the scene, but
I think esports has always been a joke.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So-
Like, you kind of start.
Don't invest too much. Just let them have their functionality. But like, yeah.
I think in order to have that, like, I think for video games to succeed, at least like some games, like you need to have that scene out there though.
I disagree
it-
entirely.
I disagree too.
Okay, it's the kind of thing like sports. Would a lot of sports still be played at the level they are if there was not a higher level of spectator because of sports
Oh
teams?
no,
or
I'm
teams?
talking about like to even be viable. Like esports is for brand legitimacy, nothing else. To say like, oh, we have an esports or an esports league, but like that's it, nothing else. Sports, on the other hand, no one's like, how do I put it? No one
What
like
ca-
owns the sport specifically. There's no live service that needs to be supported. They just
What
kind of
came
exist.
first, the sport or the league? Kinda
There you
like where I would say
go.
there. Like
Yeah.
people like playing soccer, and then they got competitive with it.
There
What
you
I see in a lot of
go.
games is like Sparkball comes out, for example, and they're immediately pushing the esports scene. It's like if you
Oh,
let
I
it
definitely
build
think-
naturally, I
yeah.
think that's when it's okay. But
If
no
that's
team
what you
does
mean,
it
yeah.
anymore.
I think
And that's
like
my issue. OS is
making
not
a video
good game.
making a game with like the esports scene like as like your main focus is definitely you don't do that shit. You're not gonna have
Oh
a game succeed
no.
in that. But I think having it as part of like your focus, like thinking about it as like diversifying your like game, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like
I
to
don't
do.
know. I would say it should never be considered. Because like, if
I
it's,
will
if
say
it's,
I don't think
if
OS would
changes-
succeeded if they did not focus on esports at all. Because like if you look at like all of the first players in this game, it was all people from like collegiate scenes. That's like their entire first focus. They put
Well,
that
yeah,
on
but they
Innovator.
asked people to alpha test that shit.
Yeah,
didn't
but they had alpha testing, but the entire reason people did alpha testing is because they had esports tournaments set up aside for it. Like pre-alpha, we played our college, like we heard through word of mouth because it was advertised in another college Discord part. But the only reason like we played is because like they had like a 15 grand tournament on the line for it, and everyone was new.
I
The
just
only reason
played-
people played in that tournament was because of it.
Was
I'm
this?
not gonna
are
say
you
the game
talking
wasn't
about-
fun.
Are you talking about the college, like the actual college tourney that happened?
No, pre-alpha they had like it was still
A
the
separate
biggest
one?
like OS tournament of all time. It had like 200 teams in a pre-alpha. It had like a 15 grand prize pool in it, and they had like it was big prize for top 3, and then they said the top 3 collegiate teams placement wise would each get $600 a pop. So they're like,
But,
okay,
like,
we can
as
at
a
least
new-
guarantee free.
But as like a newer player, I don't give a shit about that. Like that does
Now
nothing
you
for
don't.
me.
Now you don't. But at the start, it's like everyone was brand new, and it was a really good way to get players playing because like everyone is brand new at the game. It's like, oh, I have the chance to be good at the game, so we're gonna do that. and
I
it
feel like
worked
it's
out.
more of they needed people to test their game.
Exactly, and folk by like having esports as like one of their focuses during that test, like allowed for like them to actually have that player base to test. Because do you think like everyone would have tested that game if there was no like incentive?
No,
I
of course
I
not.
just
But
play
like,
tested
that's
Loki.
what you should do. You should pay your testers. That's
Oh, I
that's
definitely
how
agree.
it works. That's how it's always been.
No, I
It's not
completely
even
agree
the
with that.
esports
No.
element.
But I think that having esports is a much easier way to get that kind of funding or that kind of like testing without actually paying your testers that way.
I mean, I just play tested a game because it was fun.
No, I definitely
Agreed.
agree. Some people do.
Feedback.
Some people do that, but some people like would rather stick to their own games. And if the game doesn't look directly appealing to them, it's like why not just like play in this test because of that? Like me, Emmett, and Mouse and Etihan were all like we've played Rocket League together on a team like during middle school and high school together. We've known each other since oh my god, I'm fucking inting. Holy fuck, he's inting. We've played with each other since middle school. Like the game looked like Rocket League, so like you know what? Why not? We could win money.
Is that the only reason you played?
It was. I mean, the game looked fun, but like we were busy with college. It wasn't like our main focus. It was like, oh, we're gonna play this because it looks fun and there's money on the line.
I
And, like, we were
just
told-
don't think it's a very valuable thing for like getting people to play the game. Is all.
It's
I
'cause,
think if you're a
like,
brand new
it
game,
turns
it
out
is a good way to make money or to get players. Much more efficient way than like paying your testers. And that's like, it might not be morally as right, but it's definitely Okay. It's definitely a more efficient way because like
I
a lot
fear
of
that
college teams did
like
it.
if you want people to play your game has to be good in the first place.
Dark and Darker is like,
There you go. That's the big
yeah,
one.
everyone is playing it because it's fun, not because there's money on the line.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anyone plays games because there's money on the line except people who just want to make money playing games.
It's
Yeah.
like that should have been the focus in the first place.
Like,
Yeah.
them
Like, why
putting
are
this
we talking about
$5,000
it?
prize pool in, it's like, where's this money coming from? There's like no skins to buy or anything like that. Like,
They
how am I
have a lot of
supposed to
money.
play your game?
Funding.
Yeah. So there's definitely, I'll just say this, there's definitely an oversaturation of games, creating themselves and like spawning from out of nowhere just for the, for the sake of making an esports, and that shit's kind of like getting tired out, man. Like, can we just make a good game and like not try to force that? Like, it can work
Yeah.
in some cases. Like, it definitely worked with Omega Strikers. They had more substance to begin with, so that it was fine. But there are some games that literally just exist to be an esport.
I don't know. Like Omega Strikers was fun during the beta. That's what I think.
I still think it's fun, honestly.
I don't know. I just don't like.
I will
So many
say one
things
thing you guys I
about
feel like you guys are forgetting is like a game like Darker and Darker, is that not like a more of a like
It's a
kind of
different
style game?
niche.
It's
It's
a
a
niche.
different
Like
niche. Yeah.
a game like Omega Strikers, what is the point of the game? It's to win. It's a competition based game, so of course there's going to be a higher audience of like people wanting to win stuff off of it and play it as a competitive game. Compared to a game like Dark and Dark or whatever, like obviously they're not going to put esports like as an incentive into that because it's not their player base. But a game like Omega Strikers, especially as time goes on and like esports becomes more developed, like a lot of players that play games are wanting to become a higher rank. It's like
I
Valorant.
fear
Like obviously,
esports
yeah.
is dying. Like I will keep it $1.50. Esports is dying.
I think
I hate to
it
tell
currently
you.
will. I don't think it's gonna die fully out though. People just gotta understand that you gotta treat it like an actual sport and franchise shit out correctly with sponsors and shit. You look at stuff like
I
sports
don't
and stuff.
know.
They have ads and stuff. They pay. You have to pay for view. On
Yeah,
some
but like,
stuff.
why is sports good? It's because the
I-
game is good.
I don't think it's fair to compare sports to esports.
I agree.
'cause
It's
the
just
sport came first
unequivocally
and
not
esport-
true.
or
There's a
that
reason
the-
why soccer is good. It's because it's fun.
But do you think soccer as like a okay? Saying like stuff as times go on is gonna change too. Like I don't know. People are not gonna play a game. They're not gonna have as high of a player base to play a game simply because it is fun. You have to have
it
other
is.
aspects to it too as well.
Well, that's like that is literally the the definition of sports. They play the game because it's fun.
You think all sports players like maybe early on they play the game because it's fun? Do you think a lot of sports players would play the game right now? Like all the NFL players, all the top soccer players would play right now if they were not getting paid money. They would just do it for fun because they have an enjoyment of the
they
game.
would
No, none of them
They
would.
the reason why these sports can get supported in the first place is because fundamentally their games are fun. There's a reason we have all these high school leagues throughout the whole country.
I think top players
I
should
can tell
get
you,
paid,
most of
but,
these high
like,
school leagues would not exist if professional sports are not a thing because there would be no funding involved in any of these teams. You understand? Like, yeah, a game might exist because it's fun, but in order for it to grow as it's seen, you have to have something that gives it funding.
I mean,
Because money talks, money controls the world. If there is no top teams or no colleges recruiting off of it, because schools get money off of recruiting, high schools do. There would be no reason for sports leagues to be a thing in high school. They would just focus on the academics.
I don't know.
And that goes for most things. Like, esports is not going to die because, like, at a like collegiate and high school level, it is one thing. Collegiate high school level is like the highest level of like esports that's used for funding right now because it's coming from college money. But I'm just saying, like, any big sport you think of would not be at nearly the level it is right now if it wasn't for like professional league stuff, because that brings the money in, that allows it to succeed. Where are you gonna get all the equipment from? Where are you gonna get the traveling fund? Where are you gonna get all the stuff from? That won't be there without like a pro league.
I think you're making a lot of sense here, but you're talking about games that like are already fun, like games that are made just to be esports. No one really gives a shit about.
No, I already said I think if the game is made specifically for esports, I said no. But I said like having esports and like as part of your reason behind it is not an unhealthy way to run a game because like it allows like if the game succeeds a little bit, it allows it to like continue to. Gonna see it for a sec.
I don't know. I
What?
disagree. After watching the Pro League, I watched it with a bunch of my casual friends who were like maybe plat at most, and like at the very end of it, when I was getting the most hype, they just kind of stopped caring.
Well, yeah.
It felt kind of bad.
But
and it
do
was
you
just
think
like,
that any of the players playing, like most, like 90% of like the somewhat decent players are now, would play if there's no tournament scene?
Yes.
Yeah, I would probably
Yes.
still be.
I'm not
playing.
talking about just OD funded. I'm talking about even like community ran tournaments. If there was not a single tournament a week, would people be playing it? You think like all these players would be playing if there's nothing going on for them?
If
Yes.
there's no community tournaments, then the game is just bad in
Yeah,
general.
the game is bad because there will always be people who are trying to
Community
organize.
tournaments are still esports. Like just because it's like community ran does not mean it's not an esport. Like
Right, but I'm mostly
Wait a
referring to like
second.
company
Yeah.
funded.
Yeah, company funded.
I never
That's what
said
I'm
company
referring
funded.
to.
I just said simply in general having esports in mind with your game is not a bad idea to run it because it allows for that sort of like guarantee. Like people are going to continue to play it after. It keeps people playing. It allows the funding to be existent. Okay, I need to like concentrate for a sec before I into this game. The card,
You good?
but I don't know. Like I said, like I think OS like should focus more on the casual player base, but like even like 10%, like hey, we're gonna focus on at least making the game playable at esports level and maybe add some funding to it. And I think that's the healthy way to do it because it showcases players at a higher level, it makes people want to play at a higher level, and it creates like the funding for it. Like hell, like my fucking college, like the only reason I've gone to any like the tournaments I've gone to besides Texas Land, like, is because my college funds it because esports brings money into our college, like at a high level.
I just think that it doesn't
I
bring new
just-
players in. It
Yeah,
keeps
I
it
don't
keeps people who are interested in the competitive scene interested in
in
the
the
game.
competitive scene, but that's it. Just the competitive scene. If they're into that, then yeah, go fish. But like a lot of people don't play games to be interested in the competitive scene, it turns out. They play the
majority
games
of people
because they're
don't.
fun.
Yeah, that's a good
The
point.
majority
like-
of people do not. I hate to break it to you.
I think okay, but I want you to go look at like all like the top like most played games currently in the past few years and tell me which one
Yes.
of them, how many of those are games that are not competitive.
Like yes, they are
Anecdotally,
competitive.
NBA,
Yes.
fucking Madden, any FPS game you think of, any sport like Rocket League, Smash, any
People
fighting
play
game.
them because they're fun.
So-
To a level,
really
yeah,
quick-
but why are they playing the game? To win, right?
no,
like-
they're playing it because it's fun.
yeah, it's for
Do you think
fun.
if they just
It's all-
they play, so you're saying most of these players are playing because they
No.
enjoy fucking mashing their stick, not because they don't enjoy beating someone? The entire point of like a game where you fight someone is you get the dopamine rush of beating someone. That's the entire point of why you play it. You don't play because you like enjoying the atmosphere of my fighting game. I like looking at the field of a Madden field and looking at everyone spectators. You're playing it because you're trying to win the game.
Yeah, at that
the
point, it depends
entire
on what the
reason
model of the
behind
game.
it.
Yeah, so at
Yeah,
that
but
point, it depends what the
not-
model of the game is, because some games are
not
made
everyone-
to be like
not-
that.
Not everyone's milking it out to the point where they're optimizing and trying to understand metas. Like, of course,
But I
you're
think
trying
a lot
to
of
win.
players are nowadays. Most of the players, like I know because I know a lot of people that are casual players, but they still look at a game as like, I'm playing this video game because I want to get good and get better than my friends from it. That
I
is
had
the
the
entire
most-
reason they play games.
I have the most fun in fighting games when I'm losing because I play bottom tier characters and just have a good time.
You're
Yeah.
that is not like
Yeah,
a top
But
99%.
are you telling me that like you're not trying to win because of that? Like you're playing a low character because you think it's because then even like you get a higher rush when you beat someone with a low tier. Because
you definitely are in the
you're not
minority
sorry
for
about
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
like
think people sign up for tournaments and play bottom tier characters in games. Like they're trying to win, but
They
they're
wanna
having fun
challenge
doing it.
well
They're not
definitely.
doing
I
it
think
as a
some
challenge.
players
If
have
there's
fun,
money
but I
on the
think
line, why am I not playing the top
especially
five
as
characters?
time goes on, video games are turning away from being like an I'm just trying to have fun on my time off. It's turning into more, especially as the new generations come, as it's turning into I want to be good at this kind of thing.
That's
It's not
probably
like
why
a,
so many
Well,
games
it
are
it depends
dying.
what community
I
you're
that's
in
why a lot of
because
you see like a lot of
yeah.
games that are like not competitive based are the ones that are not succeeding right now. Why a lot of like organizations are focusing on games that allow for competition to be there.
I mean, if I look at all the games that are really popular now, Apex, League of Legends, all that, they did not start as competitive games.
They did not, but
yeah.
you see a lot of those like.
And then we look
Apex,
at games-
Apex, like fundamentally itself did because like it was a battle royale. And the reason why it popped off over Titanfall is because it was a competition-based game in a battle royale where you could win something, and then the leagues come out for it, and you see like you're telling me like league would be where it is right now if they did not have like LCS and shit going on right now, and all these like LCS specifically is like the biggest example of an esports like helping the game because of how much of an audience they get because of that.
You
The game
keep
would
bring-
not be as
you
big
keep
as it
bringing
is.
this up, but I'm talking about games that are fun first, and then the esports scene.
Yeah,
comes in. Like
that,
League
that's
of
what
Legends
I'm
didn't
talking
even
about
have.
as well.
Oh,
It
because
didn't
you
even
guys are
have
saying,
esports.
but you're saying that it's a bad thing for games to not even like slightly focus on esports. Like,
No,
I'm saying like not as
I'm saying games should be fun first, and then they
Yeah,
focus on
games
that
should be fun
instead.
for. That's what I'm
Like
saying. as well.
Sparkball came out. You mentioned the $30,000 tournament that 300 people watched. It's because they're focusing on the esports scene first, and then they're
Yup.
focusing on the game being
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
That's the
Yep.
problem I have, and I feel like Omega Strikers is doing the same thing, kind of.
Yeah, and
agree.
They
like,
but
KFC
they can
KFC,
get
you
they
did
can
that
get
as
away
a
with it a
problem.
little bit because the game is like kind of fun.
I was saying
Like,
before you said like that it was wrong for like orgs to even focus slightly on like the esports aspect. of it.
I said like yes at the moment, and even then like no, they just should not.
I
Yeah,
will also tell you from like starting a new game, it is much more efficient money wise to have tournaments than it is to contract streamers and stuff. I've worked with like I'm not a developer, but I've worked very closely with games that have like had funding and they've got like OD. Like I played a game called Steel Circus. I was did stuff for them or like testing Mad Machine. I've done a few like indie game stuff, and from the funding aspect, you put $10,000 into a tournament, a brand new game, you're gonna get a lot more people than if you put that $10,000 into like contracting out big streamers.
yeah, because
And you're gonna have more people playing consistently because once you put time into the game, you're gonna want to play more because you're good at it,
because
and
the
you're gonna
people
have
who
the
are
time in it already.
the people who are playing in the tournaments like will tend to be like genuinely interested in not just shitting around, and like the conversion rate has always been better for tournaments
Much better.
in comparison to like streamers. Streamers is when you already have like a good base game, which is why we peaked higher, and then you can convert off that good base
Right.
game.
I also think
Bad thing to
that
focus on.
I also think a lot of the peaking is due to first impressions. Like
Yep.
Omega Strikers coming out a second time is how people see it, not as this is the official
Mhm.
release. Like
Yep,
it's
happened to a
essentially they
couple
think it's
games.
Omega Strikers 2 as opposed to just Omega Strikers 1.0.
I don't know. I still don't think Omega Strikers is in like a dying situation. I definitely think if they play their cards, that the game could succeed because the longer it stays out, even at this level, like player base wise, if they can stay like this, the name is still getting out. Like it's like fucking. I thought it was funny. Like if you look at Sparkball, in the description they reference Omega Strikers. It's really funny. I don't know if you guys looked at that.
did
Where?
they
What do you
do that?
mean?
Where? What do you mean?
I'm looking for it now. Like they
Okay.
compare to what kind of game it is, and like they reference like Omega Strikers in there. It's really funny. Affectionately described as League of Legends meets Rocket League, or Battle Right meets Omega Strikers. Sparkballs packs an immediate punch to good players and backs it up with a surprising level of depth as they itemize
That's
the
kind of
hero level
funny.
class. Like
That is
the name is
hilarious.
getting out there. Like it's funny, but the fact that another dev team is referencing Omega Strikers means this is the game that's got enough clout to at least
Is the
like have
game
this in it.
to is the game to follow, the game to be paying attention to, I suppose.
I think it's probably a bad idea to compare your game to another game that's dead. Cough cough battle right.
Well, the thing is, like, I think even like what I'm saying is like even if people don't play or know much about it, the fact that they heard of Omega Strikers and know that it exists is like healthier than it not be, like by a mile. Like I've talked to people that I like barely play video games. They're like casual players, and I've mentioned Omega Strikers, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that game," and it's like they'll
Hmm.
know like basic things about it. Like that's a healthy thing for the game, and the fact that it's at that level where random people like heard of it means that it's big. It's been big enough to the point where it has a chance, like if they play their cards right, to slowly grow the game.
I fear that young adults have been marketed to a little hard online.
Oh, definitely.
So there you
But I-
go. That is why you might hear a lot of things, and I hear it myself when I'm at college.
I'm talking about
but
because I do coaching at like a high school level too, and like even closer to like middle school, and even like people that are middle schoolers and high schoolers have heard of it. So it's not just like young adults too.
Mm.
It's
I
the
definitely
trigger
think that's
animation
obvious.
goes hard.
it is
No,
what
true.
it is the same here. But for me, like for the people that I talk to, and like they're on the much older end, so like 18, 19. I asked like why they don't like Omega Strikers, and I think a big thing for them was like the game feels slow. Is what I got. I don't
I
know
actually
why.
kind of agree with that. I feel like the ball starts out way too slow.
Definitely. I don't know. I'm optimistic about the game because I've played a game very similar and watched a team that had the same level of funding somehow fuck their game up so incredibly quick that
It
within 2
happens
months
so
they just
much.
completed
It
it.
happens. It happens too much.
Like, I don't know if you guys know
honestly.
anything about Steel Circus. It was a game that was very, very similar to Omega Strikers in like every aspect.
Steel
and
Circus?
any like good player in Steel Circus came to Omega Strikers and instantly became very decent at it. Very quick. Oh fuck! I just got a new game.
Oh, this
wow.
game! I haven't heard of this
Wait,
one in a
wait.
Oh,
fucking
yeah, I
long
remember
time.
this.
I was really into this game to like the level like I am with Omega Strikers. Like it was a very fun game, but the way they did like they put all their eggs into one basket, they just like they focused on completely getting streamers and like word of mouth and like trying to focus on like the fun aspect
Yeah.
and getting streamers to play it. That like they just died because they had no competition to it. There's no like ranked leaderboard. There's no esports like level for it. The entire like competitive scene ran tournaments based completely off in our own Discord. Like imagine if
Wow.
like Central Cord was just like where every tournament was ran in. And there was no like no one
So
queued actual game, they just queued scrimmages. Like we just did like Elobot. The bot we
right.
got in him, that's all it was every day. No one actually wanted to
So
touch quick play because it was shit.
really
I
quick
think
story.
like it,
Mhm.
yeah, I
If
like
I want to
an
use
in-game system for competitive is absolutely necessary. I agree to that.
yeah, but like what I wanted to touch on. So Sorensen, would you say that that game right there is an example of a game that heavily focused on making the game fun over anything else, and then they kind of forgot about the other parts or like the
100%.
comparative side of things? Is that like because like the way I heard it, that sounded like a counterpoint to the way KFC sees that development should be for games like this.
Yeah. I definitely think you gotta focus your level on competition at some point because like that game had the same level of fun. Like I think they had Ubisoft as like their publisher. They had a shit ton of money and they dumped all their money into like fun stuff into the game, like having streamers consistently on the game, and it died so incredibly quick because there was no reason for people to keep playing after a while. Like the game is, you can only play a game for fun so long before like a game like that, like you want to win. That is the entire point of why you play a game. And if there's nothing to keep you want like playing or nothing like no incentive for winning, it's like
Have you never
game really
lost a
sucks.
game and had fun doing it?
I have, but I've had fun because of like at least the way I play games is like if I'm losing a game, I'm thinking like, what did I do wrong here? And that itself is fun as like improving in a game. But to some point, like if Mega Strikers didn't have a ranked leaderboard or like any sort of competition, like tournaments and stuff, I don't know how much I would want to play it anymore. I'd play the game, but not nearly as much because there'd be no reason to.
I mean, I don't think comparing a leaderboard and like a
Oh,
tournament
leaderboard
scene is
and
the same
competition.
thing. I think like a competitive scene is very good, but like you don't need it to be esports right off the bat.
I
Like
agree.
League of Legends came out 2009. Their first tournament
yeah.
was 2011 after they had an established player base that was having fun playing the game. I don't even think they had competitive mode when the game came out initially.
Also, I'm looking at Steel Circus. I don't know.
The fucking graphics are really bad. The gameplay of it, I still think was more fun than Steel Circus in general. Or not Steel. I mean Omega. That game, like the mechanic wise of the game and the team play, was so much more fun.
I can see
It's
the
it's
team
part of
play
the
aspect, but
Mhm.
I don't know if I like this style.
Oh, this is like the graphic style was kind of
No. Like
interesting.
the style of gameplay. I could care less about graphics.
It was literally just like Omega, but you like could hold
You
the
can
core.
hold the core.
Yeah, that's.
It's whereas
It's less
I can't remember
snappy.
the name
It's
of it.
like
Omega Strikers,
it's less
Jesus.
snappy. Like you don't have as many snap decisions. You're like holding onto the thing.
Yep.
Well, no, that's
and
because like
that-
how the evade mechanic worked in the game is so like you could evade with like the core in your hand eventually, pretty much, and like you could dodge people, or you could like throw it at them and then use an ability to like take it from them right away. And it was the same shit as like Strike Warring, but just like in a different way. Or, like
And
instead of like Strike
that's-
Warring, you would hold the core.
And that's my issue with OS. It's like the core doesn't, or the core goes too fast with core flip, but the core doesn't go fast enough.
Mhm.
And then there's no like, it's too ability.
Oh, come on, Lunar, just win the
It's too
single Strike
like
War.
it really does feel like
abilities like just like forcing that shit in is like a little cancer.
it really does feel like you only kind of get scored on anymore if there's like a really good passing play, which is like, oh man, I really deserve getting score on. or your opponent has core flip and they're just like in your face, and it's just like, well, I can't do anything
No,
about this.
even then, forcing Julie dash punch or well, any stuffing character, like forcing the hit stun, forcing a mix up, especially Ding Dong. He's pretty decent on that, especially with Rasmus.
Yeah, ding dong.
I don't know. I just really like dribbling in beta.
But no, core flip does really just kind of feel like an I win button. Is my point. Like,
I think at
Yeah,
a lower
but the
level,
thing
you
with
definitely
that is you have to get to like close enough to the goal to make it effective, and like the whole thing is that everybody on the enemy
No,
team
you
is trying to
don't.
stop you from
You
doing
can-
that.
If you can force goals with 2 core flips, like yeah, it's a lot of resources, but the fact that you can even just do that in the first place,
Well, if
it's
you're
ridiculous.
coordinated
And
to
even
core
then,
flips, then yeah.
if it could also be 1 core flip and 1 KO. It's like I don't know. It's just not it.
Hmm.
I mean, I've never heard of Steel Circus, so
it was
I
pretty.
I
it was
remember
pretty
looking at it and
peak-wise,
being like,
it was
this isn't for me.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like peak wise, it hit the peak of Omega, but it died so incredibly quick because there is no incentive for people to keep playing after they.
Hey, so here's an idea. So just look at the character design in this game. There is no soul. Like I'm looking at this. Like, where's the IP at? Where's the interesting character for people to get attached to? You know, like
People were
it's too
definitely attached to the
generic.
characters a little bit. There was narratives to it. Do I think it was good as OS? Probably not, though. Definitely, but
Not even close. It's like
Alright, we
there's
can-
this. Yeah. Goes up.
We can measure how much soul a character has based on how much porn is drawn of them. Just throwing that out.
My
there.
God, bro. I mean,
This was
you're
the
right, but
Battleborn versus Overwatch debate. Overwatch
Mhm.
had like
Jesus
1,000
Christ.
times more porn drawn for it. So obviously,
No
It just means that
way.
it just means the character designs are better, pretty
I
much.
don't know where I heard it from, but did you guys know that the past like 2 new characters have been like leaked on those sites before like
On-
even like Reddit leaks of it. Like the new character, the next character coming out has stuff on that site apparently already.
Who's
It's
the
like,
next character
That's
coming
how
out?
it's always been.
I don't want to say, but
You,
I mean,
You
it's
can find
like,
them.
I mean,
That's
it's
all-
already
yeah,
been
if you can
leaked.
find- yeah, that's how it's always been though. Like
it's a bunny magician. That's
will-
all I know.
people will get the leaks.
Oh, I know. So they're part of the Centauro Amy squad or whatever, I'm guessing. Because their logo has a little, what's it called, spade on it. So I'm guessing she's part of their team. It's cool.
bro, please, this dude cannot win midfield for the life of him.
So wait, Sorensen, what's the extent of your involvement with Odyssey Interactive? Are you like an intern
Uh,
over there?
No, I've just been really hard following the games pre-alpha. I've been a tester since then.
Oh, that's it. How do you? Well, here's a question. How did you initially get into like testing? Do they have like a posting on Indeed or like do you know
We-
somebody there?
So the way testing
Uh,
went is like you kind of get invited.
Colleges.
Oh,
So we placed 4th place in the first ever tournament out of like 200 teams as a college team. Not as like I
Nice.
could have stacked with people probably done better, but we played as a college team and got 4th place. We almost actually upset number 1 and number 2. Both our games went to like last point during the system.
that is.
But it was
I think
the number 1 was Pogducks. It was Lumos, Geek, and Ginger Pop. They were like the undefeated, like never drop a map team, and we almost beat them. And then it was 2nd place was the Battle Right players. They were really into the game, and they're really good.
Wait, Battle Right player? Or was it Whodat?
No,
I know
Um,
Whodat played. Lemon Cake, Nards. I'm thinking of people who played Omega Strikers that I know.
it was XP Braked, and fuck, I'm forgetting the 3rd player. But they were the number 1 Battle Right players for a while, and they were the 2nd place team, and we barely lost to both of them. Like I think our game against the number 2 team went to like 12-10.
goddamn.
But that's how we kind of got in because like we were the best college team by like a mile.
Yeah. It would probably be very healthy for the game if there was like a bigger showing on the college side. Like if you had some really good college teams that emerged, that would be pretty healthy.
I mean,
Because then the
as it's going, I mean, as a college team, we were the only college team that like we got reversed. We almost made top 16, which for a college team is pretty impressive. We got reversed like really hard against. We played Schneider, Corey, Bobadex, and won the first like, 2 sets and barely lost.
I
So I
think
think-
if Mhm.
Oh,
just
sorry,
gonna
I
say
don't
real
keep recording
quick,
it.
if you're, yeah, I'm retarded, my bad. But it's like
No, you're
if
fine.
you're on the
Yeah.
Odyssey Interactive team, I think the best case scenario that you want to see as a dev team, you want the majority of your top teams to be like
Oh my god, I'm
from
throwing.
the college. Like that, it's probably not gonna happen, but ideally that's what you want. I would guess,
But definitely,
right?
there's already colleges that are having like scholarships for this game.
Goddamn. Oh yeah, I saw that. You have to be like
St.
challenger
Clair,
or
there's a few of
something.
them.
Yeah, I saw that. Saw a couple of
I
them
definitely
actually.
think this game has a pretty huge scene of collegiate because that's kind of where it started off, and there's a lot of like colleges that think of this as a good esports,
Yeah.
which means they can get a lot of. But then again, I will die on the bed that I think esports in general completely like the only way esports lives is if like collegiate succeeds because it's going to turn into the next sports where like you have
Yes,
collegiate
I
or
agree.
you have collegiate that leads into
That funnels in. Yeah.
it funnels into like pro league and that's how it's going to turn because esports is already in a lot of games turning into tier 2. You have a lot
Yep.
of like players that out of high school go to a college because it's their best chance to get into like pro teams because they get seen from there. They get full
Yeah.
scholarships, from, like a lot of big games, and like I definitely see that's where it's going. I think it's healthier because it's the only way like esports is going to succeed right now because they need that money from colleges and like big like leagues. But
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think you are too stay plugged in, Bill. I don't know. It's just not it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a big defender for it because like
It would
literally
be
the only reason I'm
ideal,
in,
but yeah.
only reason I'm in college right now is because of like getting onto a team recruited.
I do agree that
Mm.
like if you don't have a collegiate team, more than likely your esport will fail. But I also think that most esports will fail if the game's just not fun innately.
Oh,
Like, if you don't have
definitely.
a casual audience who likes playing the game because it's fun.
That's why I
It-
say for
it's
like
just
this
gonna
genre,
die.
I literally think it's like yin yang. Like you have to have both. You have to have the competition and the game be fun.
I would say one follows the other, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
But I think for games to succeed
Um,
right now against other games, you have to have both. Because like, who even wants to play a game if there's other games that exist that are already popular, when they could just like play the game that's popular? You gotta have like for a reason from the play. Why would you?
Yeah, but
say
I don't
that?
think that's esports is the thing.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe my definition of esports is way too broad compared to what you guys are thinking.
We're thinking like unironically professional.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
thinking
trying
like
to-
top
trying to sp-
level
Trying to
funded
spec
by.
into that, it's like with full sponsors and shit. Like it's just
I'm just talking about like competitive tournaments in general that are like supported by the developer team. Doesn't have to have a big funding pool. Just having it in general.
I don't even think you need that because there's so many like fighting games where the fucking
Yep.
developers don't want you playing the game and people are still doing it and being funded by Matcherino and stuff.
But I think that's a very small exception. And again, because like Smash was a big game during its time, when that was not a big genre, is the reason why Smash succeeds compared to. I think if Smash released in 2023 without an esports scene like Nintendo does right now, the game would not be alive.
I don't know the
There-
whole concept of speedrunning in itself. A lot of people don't want you to play their game, and yet we still
Yeah,
do.
it's a different genre though. No one plays this. No one plays the games like Super Mario 64 to be competitive. It's a different genre.
I
I'm
mean,
specifically talking about games that have competition involved in it.
I think speedrunning is a competition though.
Well, yeah, that's them making a competition out of a game that was not developed with competition in mind.
So
I would argue the
for instance-
psychological justification is analogous, but that's just me.
There's more people watching Super Mario 64 speedruns right now than the Sparkball $30,000 tournament.
Yep.
Like I said, Yin
Yikes.
Yang. I don't think Sparkball did nearly good enough job of making their game playable to the like more like enjoyable. Like
That's fair.
especially with how shit their like their advertisement was. They didn't have great advertisement. Or the way
I
they
don't
did
know.
it. At least.
I just want to say there's a reason why IPs like Deep Rock Galactic can work somehow.
Yeah, Sparkball will do well with their NFTs. Come on,
Okay.
let's be real.
I mean the PR
what-
that was like PR suicide, getting into that whole thing.
What I think happened, because I've seen a lot of people talking about it, not with Sparkball, with other games, is the
It's supposed
only
to
way
get
they
funding
can get
from
funding.
investors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
I see.
I hate NFTs and shit like that, but I think the only way a lot of esports will succeed, like, is if they accept crypto and that kind of shit. Is like
I disagree.
E-
it just
it's
happens that crypto's
like-
like what the main like funding right now that esports has.
So funding is great, and like NFTs on like in isolation is not inherently bad, but you gotta understand that if you're gonna take that and make that a big part of your game, you're taking all the bad PR that comes along with that too.
Oh no,
But you
definitely.
can't- So like yeah,
I won't disagree with that.
I am not a big fan of like NFTs in games in general. I don't think we're ready for that shit. People are a little too greedy for that to be like viable.
No, I definitely think it's a very cancer thing, but I think
At
the way they're
moment,
putting it into the
yeah.
game, I looked into it. All it means is like they're gonna have like emotes and shit for it. Like they're gonna have customization for it. That's the only thing they're doing. And if it gets them that funding, then it's like morally it might not be the greatest thing, but they're getting the funding.
It's just
for it.
not there's not
Other
gonna be a lot
games.
of longevity, or like it's very unlikely that they'll make a long lasting game with that, at least in
Oh,
the
I
current
don't-
landscape.
I don't think Spark Pulse gonna succeed. I've looked at it. The game is fucked.
Yeah, no, they're a little bit fucked. Also,
It's like people
Sorensen.
selling. You go on.
Yeah, so Sorensen, I've been dying to ask you because I'm not too familiar with the collegiate esports scene. So what are some of the ways that esports brings money to the college, from what you know?
Because it gets players going to college. Like
Yeah, of course.
like,
Is there
it's
any
like
other
sports.
ways?
Like a lot of players.
Mhm.
Trying to think first. I definitely think the biggest thing is like by having like the sports team. There's a lot of players that like their incentive to go into college is because of that sport being there. And it's the same thing with esports. Like a lot of things, like a lot of teams. You gotta think like if they give funding to a team, like let's say like they give scholarship to a very small amount of players, but that also brings a lot of players in that would not have been going to that college.
They'll not. Uh-huh.
And that money itself, giving that player full scholarship, full ride, makes them more money than if they didn't. It gets their college on the map too. They gotta think of, like the advertising, like Northwood. Who the fuck would know what Northwood College is if they didn't have like a top team in like a lot of schools?
Interesting.
Northwood, you got Illinois, the Redbirds, you got like even like St. Clair and stuff. Like those teams are only like those colleges are only really known right now to the level they are because of esports.
I see.
In my opinion, at least. Northwood is a technical college. Like, no one knows what a random technical college in the middle of Michigan would be if it was not for them.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. And I guess a follow-up question for you, Sorensen, is like, you said earlier that making the scholarship full ride ends up making them more money in the long run. So why is that the case?
Because like
Is
in
it
order
because
for
of
them to get
the-
advertisement to their college, if they didn't have good teams, they wouldn't have that advertisement. Because like they gotta have good placements in order for them to have that advertisement.
True. Yeah, they need to actually be a top team.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess the whole point is that if you have a successful team and you have like people with full ride scholarships, in the long run, if they are successful in the sport, then
It's an investment.
it's gonna get the
Yeah.
name out there. Yeah, I see. Okay, I can see that. Pretty good. Damn. I mean, I think that was a pretty productive conversation for the most part. It was fun. Yeah, I will be heading out for
Love.
now though. I hope you
Yeah,
guys have some good games, guys.
You
Good
too.
luck.
I'm about to
Yeah.
head out after this game is done. Hopefully, I can bring it back.
I
Good
guess
luck.
I'll go too. Bye.